Hey brothers and sisters, Kim Samples here in my kitchen. I've been wanting to shoot a video about Google reviews. I had one of my customers that I've done quite a bit of work over at her house. She called me a couple of weeks ago, wanted me to come over, and she had a squirrel in the attic, and she had one a couple of years ago, and I sealed up some spots for her. And so she called me again. I said, okay, I'll be over there in a few days, and then she called me back and she told me, she said, never mind, I've got somebody else to take a look at it. And I guess her neighbor had a squirrel too. They were in a duplex. So the company that came over was Critter Control. So they told her she had a lot of damage in the attic and they needed to seal some holes and all this kind of work they had her talked her into. She's an older lady, and of course her husband, he said, oh man, if there's squirrel urine up in the attic and all this stuff, we got to get that out. So they talked her into replacing some insulation up in the attic. And so anyway, it wound up costing her $5,300 to do it. Originally they told her it was $7,000, but they lowered it because she said, well, you know, that attic's not that big. But it's a two-story house. So anyway, she called me after they'd already done the work because she thought she kind of might have gotten taken and wasn't sure, wanted to make sure they did the work. They were supposed to put a camera in the attic and do a couple of things, and she said, you know, I don't think they did this and that. So anyway, went over there and took a look, went up in the attic. The attic has about 300 square feet of insulation in it. They changed that out. They took out the old insulation and they sprayed in some new insulation there. The cheap paper, I can't remember the name of the insulation, it's just ground up newspaper. They didn't even put fiberglass in. They put about 8 inches in there. They were supposed to replace the ductwork that was damaged. They said was by the squirrel, and they were going to do up to 25 feet of ductwork at that price of $5,300. So anyway, they did right at 25 feet of ductwork up in the attic. And there's 2 runs of duct. They didn't bother to do anything to that because I guess that was over the 25 feet. That had some, the insulation was peeled back and needed to be repaired. So anyway, they sealed up, I guess, 1, 2, 3 holes around the outside with some metal plates. They put a squirrel catch release plate on one side, so if the squirrel jumped out and got out of the attic, he couldn't get back in, so it has a little trap door on it. So they were there. I asked her, I said, how many was it that came over to do the work? And she said there was 3, and they were there for 4 hours. So 3 guys for 4 hours, that's what, 16 hours. And if you take 16, divide it into, say, 5,000, because they used about $300 worth of materials. It comes to about $300 an hour that she paid for those guys to come over and do nothing. I mean, to begin with, they didn't need to remove the insulation, I'm sure, because there wasn't enough damage to the insulation to warrant that. But anyways, they talked her into it and scared her. So I pulled up the Google reviews on that particular company, and I've watched other companies in the past that you have a company that drives up in a real fancy truck that's got it's wrapped all the way around with their name, and it's got all their information on it. And I've watched their reviews in the past and watched guys. I've seen plumbing companies that they'll have 3 or 4 guys standing around, 1 guy digging a hole to fix a pipe in the backyard, and 3 guys standing there and 3 trucks out in front of the house. Like it's the biggest job you ever saw. And it's the same job that I would do by myself, 1 guy, 1 handyman out there doing the work, and probably would have taken me the whole day to do the job. and it would have been, you know, $500 or $600, $700 job at the most. And I know these guys are getting $8,000, $9,000 to do the same thing that I would do. But anyway, the lady paid $5,300 to do this job. I said, you know, I could have come over here and done it for probably $300, patched up your holes, and then that would have been it. So anyway, she was pretty disappointed, but needless here to say is that on the Google reviews, I've watched them. I've watched the different companies. I keep an eye on them because I'm out and about. And my neighbor, in fact, had some windows replaced 2 years ago. He got a company that had a Mercedes-Benz company truck with graphics all around it. Brand new Mercedes-Benz van, cargo van thing that came out to do the work. And I'm thinking, you know, he got 12 windows in his house, just a standard, you know, 1,700 square foot house, pretty standard windows. He got 12 windows replaced, and they charged him $10,000. You know, it should have been maximum maybe $300 a window, maybe $400 at the most, so he paid double. But they gave him a lifetime warranty. Oh, and the same thing for my lady that she used critter control. She said, oh, they gave me a lifetime warranty. They'll come back anytime. I said, okay, call them and see if they come back. She called them, and this is after the fact. She called them, and they came back one time because they forgot to put the camera up in the attic. So I did go over there one more time and check to see if they put the camera in the attic, and they did put a camera in the attic, so I'll give them that. But, you know, there's no reason to have a camera in the attic because there's not going to get a squirrel in there anymore. They've already sealed up the holes. So, anyway, they told her that they were going to hook it up to the Wi-Fi, and if they saw any activity up there, they're going to be able to see it. And, you know, one little camera in an attic. What a joke. So the whole thing is, I told her, I said, did you look up Google reviews before you called them? No, I didn't do that. So anyway, I pulled up the Google reviews for critter control, and I've got it here, and I just want to show you that they have, on this right here, they have 4.5 stars. So the average person would look at that and say, man, those guys are good. Look at all those stars. They got 4.5. But I want you to realize that Google puts all the top reviews at the very top. And the bottom reviews are clear at the bottom. So you never see those. You look at the top ones, and if you over here, it shows, it's right here, it says Google reviews. It says most relevant. If you'll push on that right there, you can see newest and highest ranking and lowest ranking. So click on that every time. Now, you get down here to 1 star. But if you were looking up here, you see 5 star, 4 star, 3 star, 2 star, 1 star. And you see 1 star and you think, oh, they just have one bad review. It's just, psychologically, you're thinking they only have one bad review. Okay, this particular company, let's see, the phone went dead here a little bit. Let's turn it back on. Okay, this one right here, I pulled it up. Here's a 1 star, and I counted them. There's 60 1-star reviews. 60 on this company out of their total reviews of 810. So 810 reviews, 60 of them are bad reviews. What does that tell you? That tells you these guys are crooked. Now, how do they get a good review? Well, to begin with, there's a certain amount of people that don't know how much they should pay for anything. So if they're going to pay, you know, $7,000 or $8,000 for a squirrel job, or whatever that critter control is, they just think that's the going rate. They don't have any idea. So they do a good review because they don't even know what the true cost of something should be. You know, here's 3 guys, 4 hours, 16 hours worth of work that's $300 an hour. You know, that's almost lawyer pay for some guys that are just you know, not even qualified to do anything but patch up some holes. That's, you know, handyman guy can do that for, you know, I could have done it for $300. So anyway, this is just this is Critter Control. You can go through here and read all these reviews and see all the people that are trying to tell you not to use these companies. But because of the way Google sets it up, you never see the bad reviews. You just look at the good reviews and you think, oh, they're doing so good. Now I could do the same thing with other companies. This is Critter Control here in Dallas, Texas. There's plumbing companies. I'm thinking of what? Benjamin Franklin. You know, and that's another point. Here's another very good point that I need to share with you. If you hear people advertising on the radio, you'll hear them say, the DJ will say, oh yeah, I use such and such plumbing company. They're the best. You know, I call them and they come right out. They're the best guys. And you need to get them because they do such good work. I've had them to my house and they do it. I mean, they're great. They're on time and everything. They wear little booties on their feet. They come in, they have a badge. They're all these things. They've been drug tested and all this tested and all that. So when those guys pull up, for example, a plumbing company, a lot of times they don't even send a plumber. They send a salesman to your house. And the salesman's got to sell you the work that you need to do before they even send a plumber. And it's amazing on the plumbing reviews how many times they say, well, the plumber didn't come out, the salesperson came out, and then I signed the contract, and then they came out and did the work. And plumbing, air conditioning, heating, critter control, I mean, you name it. They're all out there. Window companies, they're, you know, robbing people, and people don't even know they're getting robbed. And I don't mind paying for something if you're going to get what you're getting. But I hate for when people have to pay for something and they don't even get, they're not getting their money's worth, is what I guess I'm saying. Another review place that I think you should always check is Yelp. Y-E-L-P, I think that's how you say it. If you'll look at Yelp reviews, for some reason, they seem to be a lot more honest and tell you the facts about a company quicker and easier than Google reviews. So if you've got some kind of plumbing thing going on, heat and air conditioning, windows, maybe an electric company, whatever. But when the guy pulls up in the fanciest truck and it's got decals all over it, you know, who's paying for those decals? You are. You're paying for the decals, the fancy truck. If they're advertising on the radio, you're paying for the ad on the radio because they're going to, the prices are going to go up through the roof because they've got to charge extra to pay for all that stuff that they're doing. So my recommendation to you is always to double check the reviews. There's some good people out there. There's some good air conditioning guys. There's some good plumbing guys. But you really got to look for them because they're not going to be out there advertising. You know, if they're doing a good job, they don't have to advertise on the radio because people know they're doing a good job. And people will recommend them and say, hey, you know, I'm using this plumber, I'm using this handyman, I'm using this air conditioning guy, and he's honest, he does a good job, he doesn't overcharge you, he charges you fair. If he has, if you got a problem, he'll come back and fix it. But, you know, a lot of these big companies, I recommend you just stay away from them or do your homework and find out more about them than just look at the 4.5 stars. Oh man, they must be great. And then when they give you the bill that's over the top, then you'll say, ah man, I got took now, and now you're out of luck. And watch out for them getting you to sign a contract or sign you into they have a maintenance agreement. A lot of them will say, oh, and we have our maintenance agreement for an extra $300 or $400. We'll come out and check your air conditioner once a year to make sure it's okay, or do this and that. And of course, you don't want that. Just stay away from those guys. Double check, go to the Google reviews, go to the lowest first, read them all, and then decide if you really want to have those guys come to your house. So, anyway, that's a kind of a rant about Google reviews and how people get taken. And I don't want you to be one of those people that gets took, if at all possible. So, have a blessed day. And subscribe if you'd like to. If you don't, that's okay. Stay tuned for more videos and keep walking with Jesus.